Greetings, family. Peace and love to you and yours. This is Guru, and thanks for visiting my channel. Family, this video is the true story of the Central Park 5 and how Donald Trump was involved. Let's go to the story. So long before Donald Trump was president or Twitter existed, the real estate developer was already loudly interfering in public affairs. One of the most notable of these instances had life-altering consequences on a group of young black men known as the Central Park 5. The story continues to resonate today. It was announced on July 6th that director Ava Duvernay is tackling the story for a Netflix miniseries. In light of the news, we're taking a look back at the true story of the divisive case and the role Trump played in the national news story. The case of the Central Park jogger. On the night of April 20th, 1989, Tricia Miley, a 28-year-old investment banker, was out jogging in New York Central Park when she was savagely attacked, beaten, raped, and left for dead. She was found with such severe injuries that doctors doubted she would survive. Although Miley eventually recovered, she had no memory of the attack. 5 teenagers were arrested for the crime. Kerry Wise, 16, Anton McCrae, 15, Kevin Richardson, 14, Raymond Santana, 14, and Yusuf Salam, 15. The victim was white, and the young men who became known as the Central Park 5 were all either black or Latino. Well, if you look at the picture of all 5 of them, they all look black to me, but nonetheless, each of them confessed to the crime after hours of aggressive interrogation, then later recanted their statements. They ultimately served between 6 and 13 years in prison each. Now the exoneration of the Central Park 5. In 2002, a convicted serial rapist and murderer named Matias Reyes. Family, this picture right here, this is Matias Reyes, and as you see, he is a Mexican. He is a Latino, if that's what you want to call him. He is Hispanic, if that's what you want to refer to him, but he is certainly not black. This is the perpetrator. This is the guy whose DNA we find out is the actual rapist. Now, Matias Reyes was already serving time in prison. Confessed to having assaulted Miley. He said he acted alone, and DNA evidence supported his confession. The Central Park 5 were exonerated and later sued the city over their wrongful conviction. They received a settlement of $40 million in 2014. Now, there's some people, especially the racist idiots, you know, they don't have high IQs at all. They're almost clueless to everything, right? So they're gonna say, well, why is it that they confessed? Well, when you're under pressure in a white supremacist system where you have white cops around you, you know, rogue cops, if that's what you want to call them, and it really is, I'm using that lightly, calling them cops anyway, the way they act. When you have these type of individuals and they're applying a lot of pressure, and you are under pressure, and they're telling you that you're gonna go to life in prison for life, and so on and so forth. You know, those little threats, the idle threats that they usually give to you, to where you'll confess to something that you did not do. They tell you all kinds of things of how bad your life is gonna be if you don't go along with what they want. And so you end up confessing to something you didn't do. There's a lot of black people in jail and in prison behind that type of behavior. And yet white people always say, look who's in jail. No, it's more to it than that. It's more like, look at this white supremacist system before you start pointing your fingers elsewhere. That's what it's really about. But anyways, I digress. I want to get back into the story. So, Donald Trump's involvement at the time, the horrific crime and ensuing trial drew nationwide attention. Trump, who was already a well-known figure in New York City, repeatedly fanned the flames in an already tense, racially charged time. So here you have this idiot running around, fanning the flames, making things a lot worse. You know how the white racists come to black channels and say, oh, it's you guys making things worse by telling the truth on your channels, by speaking out about it and telling the truth for the world to hear. It's you guys who keeps it going. You know how they always try to shift the blame and deflect, never wanting to take responsibility for their own actions. But nonetheless, Trump paid $85,000 to take out a full-page ad in various newspapers where he published an opt letter calling for the return of the death penalty and expressing his hatred of the roaming bands of wild criminals in the city, as he quotes, whom he described as laughing at their victims. Quote, and why do they laugh? Trump wrote. They laugh because they know that soon, very soon, they will be returned to the streets to rape and maim and kill once again, and yet face no great personal risk to themselves. Well, again, this is Donald Trump saying these things. He's, again, like the article clearly describes, he's fanning the flames. Yusuf Salaam, one of the Central Park Five, has expressed how frightened he was at the time over the fact that a prominent public figure like Trump was calling for his death. He believes that Trump's inflammatory letter was instrumental in turning public opinion against the young men, describing it as the nail in the coffin. Donald Trump, this man has a lot of dirt in his closet. He's got it out of the closet. It's been revealed. This man I don't understand how white people have voted for this man into office. The black people who, I say that lightly, I will actually refer to them as the black Anglo-Saxons. Those people, damn, you voted this man into office. You bear a lot of the responsibility also for what's going on. Anyway, Trump's more recent declaration. Let's talk about that. It is striking how little Trump's rhetoric around the case has changed over the years, ever since he launched his presidential campaign in 2015 by referring to Mexicans as rapists and criminals. Trump has been painting a bleak, frightening picture of American society and has been fixated on the idea that America is under attack and being taken advantage of by outsiders, be they immigrants, Muslims, refugees, or our allies. Now, I want to stop there for a second because I want to talk about white crime, white violence around America. It is a known fact that the highest concerns that Americans have for our safety and for terror is from the white male. It is historically a known fact that they are the ones who commit domestic violence. They are the ones who commit it the most. If you want to talk about percentages and statistics, let's go there. It's white males, not the Muslims, not the refugees, not the immigrants. It's white males. But I digress. So even more shocking is the fact that Trump has continued to maintain that the Central Park Five were guilty. Now, even after all of that, after it's been proven that they were not involved, he still wants to maintain. You know, that's white supremacy. That is how white racists operate, though, because they want us to be guilty no matter what, whether we are or not. Just by our skin color, we are guilty. And that's what Trump is. That's what he was saying back then, and that's what he thinks now. He just got some black Anglo-Saxons working for him and vying for him, speaking for him, you know, buck dancing for him, if you will. But anyways, so in 2014, upon learning that the men would be receiving a $40 million settlement, Trump again chose to publicly voice his damn opinion, penning a letter in the New York Daily News in which he called the settlement a, quote, disgrace, and declared that the men did not exactly have the past of angels. But listen, family, in reality, none, and I say none, 0 of the teenagers in the group had ever been arrested before. This is white supremacy. This is how racism works. They paint the picture and then they want us to live up to it. And then when we don't, they charge us anyways. And they say we do anyways, because I'm white and I say so. But I digress. In October 2016, in a CNN interview, Trump again stated his conviction that the men were guilty, arguing that they had confessed to the crime and claiming that the evidence pointed to them, despite the DNA evidence that had exonerated the Central Park Five 14 damn years prior. Even with all that, Dumbo still believes that they're guilty. So although Trump has denied that his 1989 letter was racially charged, he denies it. You know how he does. It's easy to see it as an early avatar of the racist subtext that has characterized so much of his brief political career. Trump's unshakable conviction of the Central Park Five's guilt reveals a mindset in which young men of color are guilty even when proven innocent. The crusade he led against these young men and his refusal to admit their innocence, even today, are stark reminders of Trump's underlying attitudes toward minorities. That, my friends, is a fact.
Until I was 33 years old. I was a publicist at first, and I was on a lot of sets. I observed the directors, and I was like, if that guy can do it, I can do it. He's not that much smarter than me. I wanted to be a lawyer when I was a little girl, and I wanted to be a lawyer because of the injustices that I felt were in the world, injustices as it relates to black and brown people, which is who I grew up with, and feeling that it was wrong. And so I remember in the 8th grade getting a briefcase for my 8th grade graduation, and I thought, it's all happening. I got the briefcase, a few steps, and then I'll be in the courtroom. I mean, really, I was just, it's what I really wanted to do. And then I wanted to be a journalist, and then I fell into film, and I've been here ever since. Don't be results driven, be passion driven. There's no strategy to life, no strategy to career, although many people say that there is. I think the best strategy is to be strategyless and to focus on following our passion, and that becomes its own strategy, if you will. I feel pressure only that I put on myself to try to be the best that I can be so that I can be an example for those that need one. I don't think about it a whole lot. I just try to put my best foot forward every hour of every day and move forward in life with gusto and moxie and try to be as fearless as I can even when I'm going into dark places. Sometimes overwhelmed that people take to the things that I make in the way that they do. I don't take it for granted. You know, when I first walk out onto the audience, out onto the stage, in any place, go into a theater, I'm always surprised that there's people there gathered to see something that came out of my brain. It still kind of gets me every time. I'm so grateful.
Overall, I will be checking out the Netflix miniseries. It's something that I want to learn from. I didn't follow the case back then. I was a lot younger. So anyways, family, I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching. To you and yours, peace and love. Thanks again. I'm out.